friends, this is Daniel Aldie, and today I want to share with you 7 secrets to persuading anyone. Look, you're talking to an expert, and I'm going to tell you I've reached millions of people from all walks of life, from all over the world, and I know what it takes to achieve the level of influence that I have today. I want to share with you, give you some expert advice, so make sure to listen up because I have 7 secrets I'm about to drop right now. The first secret is to identify. Look, you have to meet people where they are. If you're coming to them and you're saying, look, this is how you become a millionaire when they're only making $1,000 a month, they're not going to relate. You have to find people and understand exactly where they are. Even in the Bible, there was this man named Paul who was a murderer, and he realized that he had to change his ways, and he went to people and he showed them, hey, look, I am the chief sinner. I have killed a lot of people, and I am here because I've changed my ways. And because he related to the people, he's been able to change the whole entire globe and actually helped spread Christianity in the greatest way possible. So I want you to ask yourself, how can I relate to other people? How can I identify with them? Because sometimes you're at level 10 when you really need to be at level 3. Or for instance, you might be at level 3, but you need to reach someone at level 10. You need to understand where people are, and once you gain that connection with them, you will be able to gain the influence that you need to persuade them on the actions that they need to take. The second secret I want to share with you is to love others. There's so many people that get stuck because they do not love others. They do not put others first. In fact, sometimes they talk to others with a condescending tone. And I've worked many menial jobs, and I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen in retail. I've seen this happen in restaurants. I've seen this happen across so many different industries from so many different types of people. They look at someone as if they were a piece of dirt. They looked at them as if they were a peasant. They looked at them as if they don't even matter. And people know if you're coming to them with a condescending tone. They can feel you out, and they know whether or not you love them. And sometimes even the people who don't seem to be the most brilliant will understand, hey, this person is not for me. And the simple-minded will figure you out. Now there's people that are very complex, and there's people very simple as well. And sometimes even complex people don't even know the value of love. Sometimes there's people who have multiple PhDs. They've read thousands of books, but they do not understand how important love can actually be when it comes to communicating. But they've read hundreds of books on how to communicate. They've attended countless seminars. They've talked to thousands of people, but they still cannot connect. Meanwhile, a simple person could just come up to you, introduce themselves, give you a handshake, or give you a nice hug, and it can give you so much warmth in your life. I'm telling you right now, it's easy to approach people with love. It's easy to approach people by showing them the real version of yourself. Don't think you're superior and make other people feel like they're inferior. Make them feel as if they're a greater person. Make them feel as if they were someone special, as if they were going somewhere, as if they had the greatest meaning to you, because that is how you influence them at the highest level. If you want to learn how to love at the highest level, you have to learn how to express more than you learn how to impress. Because look, it's easy to show up with gold and silver and diamonds and platinum and show off like you're a big boss. But it's also easy to show love. It's also easy to just share an idea that has meaning. If you give it away with emotion and great intentions, I'm telling you, you'll be able to persuade other people to what you believe they need to know. The third way to persuade anyone is to do your research. Look, you might work or even live with someone and not even understand them as much as you should. And so you have to do your research and understand, hey, who is it that I'm working with? Hey, who am I actually living with? What are their interests? What are their goals? What are their motivations? What fascinates them? You see, if you're interested in other people will be interested in you. And it's nice to be important, but it's also important to be nice. It's important to know how people feel about their current situations. It's important to do your research and understand exactly what it is that they're going for. what it is that they actually believe in. For example, if you're dealing with someone that you don't necessarily agree with, you have to do research on what it is that they believe. So for instance, let's say someone has a different political stance, or maybe they have a different religion or a different way of thinking. Maybe you want to understand how they think if you want to have a chance of persuading them. You see, there's different people who are on different levels. And so to understand what level they're on, you have to research their subjects. You have to open up their books. You have to go to the websites they visit. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and snoop around and check other people's computers around your house and ask them every questions about every little thing. But if they're talking about a TV show that you don't know about, then you should probably do a little research on it. Or for instance, they're talking about sports and you don't know anything about the sports they're talking about, ask them questions. Hey, what's the biggest game? What does it mean to actually win a championship? How does this game actually work? You might feel stupid for asking a dumb question, but I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a stupid question, especially when it comes to inquiring about the interests of other people. So what I'm saying is to be well versed in multiple topics. I'm not saying you have to know everything about everything, but what I am saying is that you should know as much as you need to know about the people you're surrounded by. You know, I'm very surprised sometimes when I talk to people from their respective cities and they don't know the basics. They don't know the food, they don't know the religion, they don't know the politics, they don't know the things that are going on around them, and they're completely clueless. My friends, you have to do the research if you want to persuade the people around you. So all I'm saying is to get within your hearts and try to relate to every person's individual needs. If you do this correctly, you will succeed. The fourth secret to persuading anyone are through stories. Look, people have been telling stories for thousands of years. And stories are a way to convey emotion, to convey drama, to convey humor, to connect, to relate. And if you're communicating and you're not telling stories, then you're missing out. We believe a certain way of thinking because of the stories that were told in the past. For instance, many religions and philosophical beliefs have been passed down because of the way the stories have been told and how they told those stories really impacted their listeners. So if you want to be able to convince other people, you need to have a way to anecdotally share a story with them that relates to their heart. You see, a story is a transportational device that goes into their heart, that works into their mind, that helps them understand exactly where you are. You see, when you're telling a story, you're drawing a picture. For instance, I'll create a story that will draw up an image in your mind. Let's take a brown elephant that jumps over a yellow school bus that shakes his tail and jumps into the blue lake. Can you see the imagery? Of course. And the reason you can see that is because you have a vision of what these things look like. Now, does it necessarily look like the same thing that I see? Probably not. But I can guarantee you that you can imagine this because of what you've seen before. And because you've seen it in your mind, you can manufacture it in your heart if it has enough emotion and relates to who you are. For instance, what if you had sentimental feelings about elephants or school buses or about lakes that happen to be blue? Of course, you would have certain feelings because that is exactly what stories are meant to do. So what it comes down to is find a way to tell your story in the most interesting way. Try to get people to say, ooh, ah, and eventually they're going to be able to take that transportational device to get to where you want them to go. The fifth secret to persuading anyone is to validate your claims. I'm sure you've seen so many times people use facts and stats and graphs in order to validate and justify what it is they're trying to convey. For instance, I can use a statistic like this. 90% of all millennials cannot start a business because of the student loan debts that they have to pay up until their 30s. Now, a lot of people who live in countries where the expense of education is high can relate to that. They can relate to this because they themselves might know someone or maybe experience it firsthand what it's like to pay off college loans. And they can identify with the struggle because they know that they faced a similar situation. So that statistic validates what they understand, and they're allowed to believe it much more because they can relate to the numbers that you shared. Another way you can validate your claims is by using logic, because sometimes people don't understand exactly how things may work. So for instance, you go to the mechanic and the mechanic logically explains why your car isn't working. Now, you might not know how your engine works or how your car functions, but you can tell by the detailed explanation and the continuance of his logic that he can be trusted. And you say, I guess I should pay because you sound like you're right. And because of the logic that he used, you now understand that it makes sense for you to fork up that money in order to fix your car. You see, a lot of times you can convince other people by validating your claims through stats, through facts, through logic, but make sure you use it wisely. The sixth secret to persuading anyone is to dramatize. Look, there's so many ways that you can get your message across, but sometimes you need to dramatize. You need to pour out your emotion so that other people can feel the pain you might be feeling. You see, when you dramatize a certain point, other people are focusing on what they're thinking about, but your drama pulls them in to what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, what you're doing, and how you are manifesting certain results in your life. And so your drama helps them to relate to your situation. Now, keep in mind that you never want to abuse the system. You don't want to have random outbursts of emotion and panic attacks and yelling and cursing and screaming. You want to make sure that it's more controlled. You want to make sure that the feeling that you have within can be conveyed in a positive way. You don't want to repel them by having this negative outburst and making them think that you're crazy. You want to allow them to see exactly what it is that you're thinking and how you're feeling so that you can get a message across so that they can help you to achieve whatever goal it is that you want to pursue. The seventh secret to persuading anyone is to ask questions. There's 6 questions that you need to ask. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Look, there's so many people that avoid asking questions. And why? It's because they assume. So many people assume that things are a certain way and they never ask questions, and so they never learn. But what I want you to do is to not answer your questions, but to question your answers. Why do you really think a certain way? How do you really feel about this person? Where do you really think this is going to lead you? How must this job actually be done? Ask yourself a series of questions and you will get a series of answers. Don't make an assumption based on what you've seen in the past or what you heard from someone else. Go directly to the source and ask these powerful questions if you want the truth. My friends, I've shared with you 7 secrets for persuading anyone. And if you understand exactly how to use these secrets, you will be able to persuade anyone and everyone you meet. Remember, the emotional and logical sequence of the way you use your language will transport the person to where you believe they need to be. And if you understand how to do this with enthusiasm, you, my friend, will be able to have more influence in your life. If you like this video, comment in the section below, share it with someone who really needs it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification button because I look forward to sharing with you more secrets of what you need to do to become more successful in every area of your life. Again, this is Aldie, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.